We talked a little bit about how last week how AOC wants to have this truth committee in Congress, and what they're going to do is they're going to come forward and they're going to rein in the media. She said we need to rein in the media, and what that means is any conservative media or media that gives an opposing opinion to the Democrats, that's what they want to rein in. They want to stop conservative messages from being spread. They've already done it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They've already squashed Parler altogether. But the problem is these news networks. And CNN is, first of all, they're right in there, man. They are like, yes, AOC, we believe we need some kind of division of truth in reporting. We need somebody to police our thoughts and our words, and we want to be the state-run media department. We're ready, willing, and able to do it. And what they need to do in order for that to happen is shut down every single one of their competitors, Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, and they're making no bones about it. They're going on television basically saying that these organizations are a threat to the United States of America and should be shut down. Brian Stelter, it makes me laugh. Brian Stelter had this guy on, his name is Alexander Stamos or anyway, he worked for Facebook. He was a security director at Facebook. Now he works at CNN. Listen to what he said about conservative media.
When I started at Facebook in 2015, the #1 challenge from a content perspective was the abuse of social media by the Islamic State. And there was a collaboration between the tech companies and between the tech companies and law enforcement to make it impossible for them to use the internet to recruit and radicalize mostly young Muslim men at the time around the world. Now we're talking about domestic audience in the United States.
And what that means is Donald Trump supporters, Republicans, people who voted for Donald Trump are ISIS. They are the American version of ISIS. And Facebook and Twitter and Google and all these tech companies are doing the same thing they did. They're banding together the way they did to stop ISIS. They're doing it now to stifle conservative voices. And he's excited about it. He thinks it's so necessary.
ISIS did not have a domestic constituency in the United States Congress, but there is over half of the Republicans in Congress voted to overturn the election. And there will be a continual political pressure on the companies to not take it seriously.
So now he's saying, now this guy who's a CNN contributor who worked for Facebook is now saying not only are ISIS here in the United States in the form of, Trump voters, but there's also ISIS representatives, or the American ISIS representatives, as he calls them, in the Congress. You have congressional elected officials who need to be silenced because they're basically terrorists, is what he's saying. And how do you silence them? You go after CNN's competitors. You go after Fox News. You go after the influencers. Listen to this. And I'm going to play you this next clip. He let something slip here, which he probably didn't mean to slip. Listen to this carefully.
We have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN.
Okay. He's basically now saying we need to turn down the reach of conservative influencers because they're more popular than we are. They have a larger reach than daytime CNN. No one should have a larger reach than daytime CNN. This is this guy Stamos saying we need to silence our competitors, whether they're on TV or YouTube, because they're better than we are. And they've got more viewers. What do? They're terrorists. We need to shut them down. They can't be more popular than us. This is him he's basically trying to scare people into thinking that people that do his job better than he does are terrorists and therefore need to be silenced.
It's up to the Facebooks and YouTubes in particular to think about whether or not they want to be effectively cable networks for disinformation. And then we're going to have to figure out the OANN and Newsmax problem. That these companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes.
How do you shut down Parler when it's called Fox News? How do you shut down Parler when it's called Newsmax and it's on television? Well, you can't go after the Amazon Web Service. You go after the cable companies who are carrying these things. This is what they're planning openly. They're openly mandating that these cable companies drop these cable channels. It's censorship in the highest form, and it's even worse that it's coming from CNN because they now not only want to push the state-sponsored message, they want to be the only outlet where you can get any kind of news whatsoever. They want to control the entire narrative.
Allowing people to seek out information if they really want to, but not pushing it into their faces, I think is where we're going to have to go here.
Meaning we're just going to have to censor people that disagree with us. Fox News, Newsmax, OANN. We're going to have to do it by any means necessary. We don't need to push this information into people's homes. It's unhealthy. You know, what if we all got together and called Xfinity and Cox and AT&T and all these other places where people get their TV and said, CNN's dangerous. They're preaching anti-First Amendment rhetoric. We don't need to be pushing that into everyone's homes. Get them out of there. I wonder how we'd feel about that.